World's Worst Radio Show. MBA Joshua here. If you're seeing this after the fact, it means that this show did not devolve into a group chat with me talking and a bunch of messages. So, what we're doing? Playing records. Doug Swenson in the house. Moral in the house. What's up? I have an idea for a topic, but first I will organically wait and see if the topic emerges. And what's up? D-Vividi, sipping coffee. Always sipping coffee. What are we listening to? We're listening to Monochrome Collective, German post-hardcore, post-rock kind of outfit, spin-off of the highly eclectic German hardcore band Dawn Breed. This is in my pile of stuff to sell, but I decided to revisit it today. So we'll see. So far, it's pretty rad. And then we've got some Unwound. Oh, it just got very emo, you know. It's alright. It might stay in the for sale pile. Alright. What are we doing here today? I got an idea for a topic. I was thinking about kind of people that we sometimes work with, but I might go a different way on that. Kimberly Whaley, what's up? What do we have to report? A new video coming about if you struggle with working from home, and you struggle from that lack of accountability and the lack of people around to sort of pressure you into working on the stairs. Are you inside or outside? Uh-oh, it's devolving into group chat. The one thing I will say, I don't think you're going to be able to tell, the paper on this is super nice. Let's see if we can get like the, oh, you can see it. Look at that. It's gorgeous. The design is really nice. It's a pretty over-the-top version of, I don't know, it's very 90s. Alright, so let's let this rock for a minute. But definitely thinking about taking feedback and direction from people, and what causes a situation to be kind of toxic and crappy. No, what's canceled, Con? Oh, wait, I think I might have. Jason, what's up? Put these 7 inches somewhere. I think, is the canceled con kind of like a big creative talk of people in their basements like me? I wish I could lock the exposure on this. It's, the music is Monochrome Collective, which was a spin-off of the band Dawn Breed. And it was in my for sale pile, and I thought I'd see if it was interesting. Musically, it's great. Not really feeling the very 90s emo vocals. But it's got a nice vibe. Yes, I've seen a canceled con flyer. It's probably cool. I think I didn't get super excited about it because I don't really mind being holed up and not having to deal with anyone while I work. So none of this stresses me out. The other thing is I live with 3 other people, so I don't get lonely. I just took a half-hour play tag and throw frisbees in the backyard break with a 5-year-old. So my quality of life right now is actually quite high. The recording on this is great though. The drum sounds super good. I can't tell if it's just one giant long song or what, but it's working for me. Except for when the dude starts doing the moany, screamy stuff. I'm not a fan. But this is cool. I'm definitely down with this. It's still staying in the cell pile though. You gotta really stand out to get merged out of the Discogs box. If anybody does have anything that I should, if anybody has anything I should address or talk about, by all means. But I otherwise get an idea that I'm banging around. I'm gonna let this song play out for another minute, kind of see how it winds itself down. Dawnbreed were this wildly eclectic metal hardcore band, kind of like a precursor to Dillinger Escape Plan in terms of just veering off into bizarro directions, like a swing jazz moment out of nowhere, or something that sounds like a spaghetti western. Oh. I don't get enough exercise though. Running around the backyard with my kid, I'm like all sore and I'm like broke a sweat. I didn't really do anything. It's sad. Those echoey synth sounds are super cool. I'm trying to figure out how indebted this record is to Jason Farrell in terms of design. Because like it looks really Jason Farrell-y. I was gonna say, was it frightening? Let's see how soon after Blue Tip this came out. It doesn't tell when it was recorded or anything, which is interesting. I love the inserts, just as thick as the cover, and it's on the same. Let's see if I can get that paper to do its thing again. John Bresciani. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, John. Alright, so that's Monochrome Collective. The other thing is the vinyl is really thick. This was uncommon at this time, like 1997. Though it's European, and actually that probably has a lot to do with it. American vinyl was gross and thin at the time, but I think at this point we've determined that so my wife has Corona. I think the 10-year-old has it. Not sure about the 5-year-old. I had to put my Etsy shop on hold because I didn't want to be mailing coronavirus to anybody. Put all my records on hold. So that kind of sucks. Hopefully hopefully I have a job tomorrow. Yeah, Kim has the coronavirus. She's probably been sick for 21 days maybe. Though the question is, because I've read this thing about people, like younger people especially, having a cold or something like that, and that being the kind of trigger that allows it to take hold. On the plus side, as much as it sucks for her, it's not nearly as bad and as frightening as I thought it would be if one of us got it. Like, it sucks, don't get me wrong, but I don't have her cooped up in a room that I am come into 3 times a day with a freaking suit on and gloves or whatever. And granted, if she had diabetes or was 87, it would be a different story. But so this is this thing I'm thinking about. It's this idea of responsibility, sharing responsibility, and kind of like how toxic work relationships take hold. And I'm going to try to keep this brief as more of like just a thing to share. But one of the biggest ways for you to have like these sort of toxic work situations where it's not the whole culture, it could just be individuals, but is not sharing responsibility. What that immediately does is create resentment. A lot of people don't share responsibility because they're so freaked out about everything that they can't trust anyone, because they have to be in charge of everything because they don't trust anyone. But part of the reason they don't trust anyone is because of the fact that on their watch things have gotten screwed up and they've had to take the fall for it. So they figure if they're going to take the fall, they should be in total control of everything. The problem is that a lot of where this comes from, and I think it's why the idea of workflow when you're a designer in particular is so important, is that mistakes are the results of the workflow. Like a really simple example is when you send a piece to print and there is a typo in it. Yes, it's the fault of whoever typed the typo, however it got there. 100%, obviously it's that person's fault. But the thing is, like, it's their fault there's a typo. It's not their fault that that typo got printed and distributed. I've made some massive typos. Is it around here? There's a piece over here somewhere, like a really nice little mailed piece for an exhibition, and one of the artist's photos that was on the back side of the poster said, like, and I can't remember now, but let's say for the sake of argument, it said blah 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 by Adam Smith, and it went to print that way. And the thing is that there was no artist named Adam Smith. I said generic white guy name, and I put it in there with the intent that later I would fix this. Not in my defense, but just this was 12 years ago. I'm a much more responsible human being now, but I put it in. I didn't go find the original thing, copy and paste it and put it in. So that went to print that way. The fact that there's a typo is 100% my fault. The fact that it went to print is not my fault. That is the fault of the workflow that I had or we had with the client, because there are proofs that they signed off on. Black and white proofs from me, PDFs that say this is approved, color proofs from the printer, all of which say this is good to go. So that's a really simple mistake. And what a lot of people do when they run into this is that instead of saying, okay, what was the lapse that created this situation, they become paranoid and they don't trust anyone. It manifests and reflects in all kinds of ways, and ultimately it holds back the people. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that when you have to deal with someone that's being a neurotic control freak, that you need to feel like this massive amount of sympathy for them, but at the same time, you kind of do have to feel a little bit of sympathy for them, because it could just be that they feel like they've been burned too many times, and since no one ever wants to deal with workflow and process, this kind of crap just happens all the time. And I would say, like, especially knowing that most of the people on here are designers, you could take your most low-level common problem, and instead of accepting that it is just normal, like everyone accepts like typos, right? Especially if you're a print designer, like, you know, if you design a book, it's been proofed a million times. The first time you open it, you will open to the page with the typo. It always happens like that. So, and you can start being hyper vigilant about avoiding those typos. Like, you can say, I will never type in a file. I will always copy and paste something from a trusted source, the client or a proof or whatever. But typos will still go through, and most of us will just go, well, typos are part of they're the name of the game. Like, it's just a thing that happens. But I think you could make the argument that that's the most easy, low-hanging fruit that you could adjust the workflow to deal with. And I'm not going to get into that unless someone asks, but in general, you could sit there and reverse engineer it and say, what would it take for there never to be typos? Like, what steps in the workflow would have to be there? When you're working with people who too much has gone wrong and they don't know what to do, you can tell they're stressed, and you might be able to work with them to correct that ship. A couple of ideas there. So we're gonna listen to the other side of this Dawnbreed record. If you've got any thoughts on that, feel free to share them. This record is killer. I have to say, like, I'm not loving the vocals, but like musically it's awesome. I might take it out of the sell pile and just grow to love the vocals. I just feel like something just happened. Did I lose somebody? No. I swear to God, you're like trying to track how many people are listening and you never have any idea. Thanks, Jason. A non-art example of this that I think is really good is, if you haven't seen the movie Gerhard Richter Painting, watch the movie Gerhard Richter Painting. It gives a lot of they don't discuss explicitly the benefits of some of the stuff that he's doing, but one thing he does that's incredibly smart is he finishes painting sort of, well, I was going to say ahead of schedule. He's actually a good example of what I believe would be the law of qualitative ease. He doesn't seem to be hanging up stuff that he has doubts about, and he doesn't seem to be hanging up wet paintings per se. But there's this thing he does, which is like he finishes a painting, he puts it up in another gallery in his studio, like on his property, and every so often he goes and visits these paintings in this gallery, and he appraises them in context and takes a break from them and decides if they're done. And then, you know, some are done, and sure enough, some of them need to come back into the studio and get worked on again. And it's while it's a completely a creative decision, it's a really nice example of a workflow that avoids certain negative outcomes. I find it hard to believe that he would walk into a solo show and feel angst or doubt about what he's got hanging up there, because he ran that process through and he's built these interesting little intermediary steps that cut down on doubt, which is a lot different than cutting down on a typo, but in spirit, I would say it's the same idea. Yeah, this is an interesting record. Vocals are kind of flat or whatever. We're gonna let this one song ride out. Yeah, watching him work is magical. Yeah, I mean, I love that movie. I definitely, for a while, I watched it once a month. Sometimes I'd watch it multiple times in a row. It definitely, it taught me a lot about working. You know what? I don't know anything about Philip Guston. Is it Guston or Guston? It's got to be Guston, right? Yeah. You, my friend, have been rescued from the sale pile. What else do we got here? This is kind of funny. We're going to listen to this Worlds Collide 12-inch. Supposedly this was a straight-edge hardcore band, but really this was a 90s grunge record masquerading as a hardcore band. But here's the thing that's weird. If you can't read this, it says Tim Johannen's copy. I think my brother found this for me at a used record store in Minneapolis. I love this record. It's so good. The artwork is incredible too. Like the level of Photoshop compositing skills for 1993 is really impressive. And actually, the dude Matt Berger that sang in this band, he's in a short-lived band with Jay Robbins of Jawbox. Shit, which one is it? There's two. I think it's Roll Kicker Laydown. Matt Berger sings on that 7-inch. They just have one 7-inch on DeSoto. The copy I have is duct taped together. That's it. So you sell them with Rorschach, Strife, UOA, and Mouthpiece. Bizarre. Yeah, it sounds like if Quicksand were more of a grunge operation. And the thing is, aside from, you know, like I can't remember the guitarist's name, Music and Battery, and Battery suck. Damnation AD, like, both those bands are terrible. Justin Kohler, yep. It's so funny, I can't read the lyrics because my glasses prescription's too strong, and so I can't read small type. The focus is like here instead of down here. Yeah, they're all terrible. I think it's so bizarre that it says Tim Johannen's copy. And it's weird to me that Tim Johannen had a copy of this, which obviously got for free. But yeah, who recorded this? Issa Diao. Yeah, it sounds super good for the time period. Is this probably the first thing on Watermark, maybe, or is it? Probably not, actually. And I don't like other Worlds Collide stuff. I only like this. Yeah, this is so good. That part. I feel like somebody interesting did the artwork for this too. Chris Tolliver, I remember that name. Yeah, Pseudo. I don't think they really were. And then the drummer was in Blue Tip. Actually, I wonder. Was Hello? Was he in Blue Tip too? Oh, yeah. Four Walls Falling. That's something I don't dare revisit. I don't think I would like it. That's insane. We were supposed to see a four-wall show with UOA. And then UOA canceled or broke up, and I think Channel drove up. So good. Oh, really? Maybe I'll revisit it. Culture shock. I suppose you never know. Some stuff, you listen to it and you're like, oh my god, this is awful. And then other stuff, you're like, this is oddly compelling, or this is fantastic. What else is on here? Whaley, you're still there. Trooper. I've decided I just let whole records play, so it's more like a radio show. It just flows into each other. I just realized I was hearing the drums coming through half through the speaker and half through the this thing. Man, I've never listened to Into Another, like other than in passing, and I've been wondering about checking it out Into Another and seeing if it's good. I feel like this episode is especially going to live up to my world's worst radio show idea if we don't even have the cords plugged in right. Yeah, I need to put that like on a to-do list. Listen to this band. There's almost like the thing that if somebody was willing to spend a bunch of money on your records multiple times to make them, they may have been worth producing. Probably 2 songs if this is enough, though. Do you listen to any new hardcore though? Two recommendations. Check out Portrayal of Guilt, who are like blackened gravity core. They rule. And Coil Guns. Check those two bands out. We pulled out this Elements of Need 7-inch. Some hype bands listen to all the Elements of Need records, so might as well listen to the first 7-inch and see if it's any good. Split 7-inch with Jasmine is killer, and the one with Frail was interesting. This already doesn't sound like it's going to be as good. Oh, it's kind of cool. A really funny story about Elements of Need. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Was sitting on a porch with at least two of them, if not more, and they were looking through a new issue of Heart Attack, and Kent McClard had reviewed their record and gave it a positive review, and they were like through the roof. And I think it's so funny because pretty clearly from like revisiting Abolition, like Kevin Clark's not have great taste in music. Peace out, dude. This is an interesting record. Just like the guitar, like I'm not sure if it's like noise rock influenced, but it's definitely an unusual record. There's like super interesting tonal stuff happening. That's true. Like, it's like struggle and then a bunch of terrible music. Look at the insert on this and see what's inside here. Like the covers are color copies, which almost certainly means they were free. I don't know who else was in this band. I know Eric's sister was in the band. So Elements of Need was 90s hardcore band that Eric Wareheim of Tim and Eric's fame was in. Though I guess at this point he's not Tim and Eric fame, it's like Eric Wareheim, but still. His sister played bass. This dude Fred sang, which is dope. They were funny people. They still are funny people, I imagine. I think they made a pretty interesting set of records. They really don't. They surpassed their influences quite a bit. I think we'll let this play out, and this will have been another semi-successful episode of World's Worst Radio Show. Every weekday from roughly 4 to 5, I try to do this. If you have on Instagram, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you have a question that you want me to talk about, you don't have to tune in live. You could just send me a message and it will give me something to talk about. Because the reality is that I would prefer not to play records, but I need something to do. Because I have no followers. That's not true. The ones I have are lovely. Oh, this is dope. That kind of stuff, very jawboxy. They're kind of like literally like jawbox listening to Abolition stuff. Maybe Drive Like Jehu. This camera. There's elements of need. Debut 7-inch. 1994. Recorded fall 1994. I want to play the flip side. It doesn't have any lyrics, which makes me wonder if it's an instrumental. I just kind of want to see what it's about. So let's do that, then we'll be done today. Let's see what it's called. It's called Empty. It just says, very emo gesture, in parentheses, subject to change, subject to loss. Trumpet by Jared Alterman. Let's see what that's about. Sounds a lot like Unwound, actually. Holy, it sounds so much like Unwound right now. Like New Plastic Ideas Unwound. Until now all of a sudden it sounds like an Abolition thing. So if you're watching this on YouTube, go to Instagram, MVA Joshua, join me live weekdays 4 to 5 when my work schedule permits. Send a question otherwise, or leave a comment on this video with a question and I'll address it in a future episode. If you're watching this on Instagram, key points of these sometimes end up as YouTube videos on my channel, MVA Joshua. Yeah, definitely like DC influence in here. I want to hear the trumpet. It's the only reason I'm leaving this on. Torturing you all with my terrible taste in music. I like that part. It's an ambitious record for debut 7-inch of a band that probably would love to be on Abolition. Though if they were on Abolition, they would have put out like the best record on Abolition, so I guess it would have been great. This band was really tight with Frail, and it's interesting because Frail were kind of like if you took a New Jersey straight edge band and had them listen to Abolition stuff. Okay. That's the trumpet. And this sounds like if you took a DC band, had them listening to Abolition. Those are kind of brutal sounds. That's awesome. What can we call this? Art damaged hardcore. Alright, that's gonna wrap it up. World's Worst Radio Show, tentatively titled April 2nd, 2020, live from Corona Town.